So we want me to go live now? All right, we're live. Cool. So my video output's not being seen anywhere because I have to make a change on my end as well. That's fine, but I fucked up a macro, so this thing is not working right. So I got to work on that. But that was supposed to be two different mics. There we go. Okay, and if I do that, I don't want to do that. Okay. All right. So, so all I see is the countdown coming through Zoom. Is that, and it's fine, but I don't see. I guess I'm just seeing the stream. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so I don't want to do this. Talking 1, 2. You got a little echo. Are you out in the live room? Sounds good though. Hey, I'm going to step away for 2 minutes, get some water. I'll be right back, guys. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but. 4.5 minutes. I am back. And that fan noise sucks. Oh my God. It's not that. It's this fucking thing. I can, yeah. Right on. Okay. I think that's fine. So I need to get. Oh, and then I want to do. So I don't need to do anything in this YouTube streaming setup, right? Yep. Oh, Paul Beckwith is on. Nice. Right on.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the studio. We've got some last minute technical things we're kind of working on. It's quite a large setup right now, but we are excited about this. This is something we've been working on for a little while that we really wanted to do to bring you some of these microphones and record some stuff since, you know, there's no NAMM, there's no AS, there's none of this stuff going on right now. So we just want to bring a couple mics to you, a great series. Matt is going to join us now, and he's going to let us know kind of what we're going to do today. Want to cut Matt in? Matt, how you doing?
Right on. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Ernesto. How you guys doing?
We had a little bit of fun setup time there, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a little preview of the audio going out as well.
This setup's kind of complicated, so we're still getting a few bugs worked out. But so anyway, I'm going to let you kind of set up everything we're doing today, and you know, they're your
Right
mics.
on.
We're starting with just a couple mics, and so take it
Yeah,
away.
exactly. Thank you. So as Charlie said, between the pandemic and just a lot of general craziness, it's really hard to get out into studios right now. And what we've seen from Roswell customers, including some of the folks who are on the stream already, and by the way, thank you everybody for joining, is that people who hear these mics love them and they tell all their friends, and a lot of our sales are driven by this word of mouth. So we've been looking for ways to let people hear the mics. So Charlie cooked up this idea of this sort of virtual showroom, and the idea is that we'll bring you into the studio in a very real way, and in fact, a better way than you could do in real life, where you'd be sort of jockeying for position on the couch, you know, behind the console, hoping to get, like I said in the Facebook thing, you know, one ear in the sweet spot. This way, everybody gets to see, everyone's got line of sight, everybody gets to hear exactly what's going on. So we're going to do a series of these live streams. Tonight, we're going to focus on two microphones, the Mini K47 and the Mini K87. And the reason we picked these two is because they sound different, and that's what we wanted you to hear.
Yeah, the point here is to kind of show you how both of these mics can be used as a tool to capture the sounds you need. Maybe it's because you're at home recording one source all the time and you need to alter the sound you have, or maybe you use them as color tools or emotional shaping tools. And with the acoustic and the vocals, you're really going to be able to hear how these mics capture sound and how you might like to incorporate that sound into your own recordings. Now, one thing, Matt, I love about kind of the way you do everything, and this comes from a conversation we had way early on, you've got a really interesting way about building a mic locker, which also is the philosophy you use of building these microphones. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So basically the idea is that, you know, if you meet a painter, he doesn't have one color of paint. If you meet a sculptor, he doesn't have one chisel, right? These guys have an array of tools that each serve a different purpose. And I think for audio engineers, the same thing applies. You don't have one microphone, you have a bunch. And each one of those microphones, you know how to get good sounds out of across a variety of sources. And so the concept that, the word that I've cooked up to describe this concept is sonic diversity. And the idea is that you have a number of microphones that each sound different, so that no matter what voice comes into your studio or what guitar somebody pulls out, you have the right microphone for that. And I've come up with this sort of systematic way to create a mic locker, or to build a diverse collection. And the idea of it is that if you look at the different kinds of microphone capsules that you would see in a large diaphragm microphone, and then the different kinds of circuits, these each have their own unique contribution. And the chart looks something like this. And the idea of this is that for these three different capsule types, there's the K47 type, the CK12 type, and the K67 type. Each of those capsules listed across the top there has a different sound. And then the circuit makes its own sonic contribution as well. And you could have a transformerless JFET circuit, that would be the top row there. You could add a transformer in there, or you could add a tube in there, and each of those has their own contribution as well. And the point is not that any of these are necessarily better or worse than anything else. Rather, the point is that they're all different. And in that difference lies the art of audio engineering, knowing when and how to apply these different tools. And so this is not just a blueprint, in my opinion, for building a diverse collection of microphones. As an audio engineer, for me, it's also about my product roadmap. So when I am ready to make the next microphone, whether it's for Roswell Pro Audio or the DIY line under the Mic Parts brand, I'm looking at that grid to see where the gaps are, because the next thing I build, I want to fill a new hole in that grid.
Yeah.
And the point of all this is that engineers have a lot of choices to choose from to build out a sonically diverse mic collection.
And that helps us, that gives us the tools we need to paint whatever picture we're trying to paint. And it was interesting at sound check, and I'm hoping this will come out when we get in here, as we were just getting everything set up and hearing these mics back on the sources, especially Anthony and I, when we get the vocals, we heard both mics very differently, and each liked the opposite for different reasons. And that's the beauty of this too is, you know, it lets you create a different emotion. So it's not about a better or worse. It's simply about what is right for the song or what makes you feel a certain way. And that's the engineering side. You know, I don't understand the technical side as much. All I know is with just these two mics and even all of yours, they're so different that I could do pretty much anything I need with those mics. And that's what we're going to show today.
Right on.
Right? Cool. So let's do, Matt, you want to give, let's see, I'm looking at I've got my notes here so I know we cover everything we need to. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go out, we'll introduce the band, and then Matt, do you want to give a just quick kind of rundown of the difference between specifically the 87 and the 47 and how it may, you know, affect the sound, and then I'm going to get these guys set up to demonstrate that.
Absolutely, yeah. So like I said before, the two mics that we're looking at tonight are the Mini K47. By the way, that's one of those right here. That's what I'm talking through. And the Mini K87. And both of these are compact microphones. They're fairly small. They're fairly lightweight. They're easy to position. We describe them as being point and shoot simple, okay? There's no switches, there's no complexity. You basically just put it in front of whatever you're trying to record, you plug it in, and you start to play, and hopefully get good results from that. And so the two microphones are the same size. They have different capsules in them. And in a condenser microphone, the capsule basically determines the sound of the mic. So the capsule more or less determines the frequency response. And so these two microphones having different capsules are going to sound different. And in practical terms, what most people will hear as the difference between these two microphones is that the Mini K87 is fairly flat. So its frequency response is pretty much neutral across the entire audible spectrum. There's a tiny little lift, maybe a dB, around 8 to 10K, just a really gentle lift to give it a little bit of air, a little bit of life up on top. And then the Mini K47 has that classic K47 capsule sound, which is a presence bump around 4 to 5 kilohertz. So this is a frequency that's really important because it feels very natural for a lot of things. And so when you put this on a guitar or a guitar cab, it helps the guitar come to life. When you put it up on drum overheads, it helps bring out the tone of the shell of the drums without exaggerating the cymbals. And people love it on piano as well. We sent a pair to Bill Payne from Little Feat, and Little Feat's coming out with a new record, and the Mini K47 is all over that record. So it's been wonderful on piano, a lot of different sources. And so, but again, the goal tonight is to hear both of these microphones in context. And as Charlie sort of suggested, the point of this is not that one is better than the other, because better is subjective. And it depends on what instrument or voice you have. It depends on what you're trying to do with the song. It depends on the density or sparseness of the mix. Do you want that guitar to come forward, or do you want it to sit back? Is it a strummed part that's supposed to just be supportive, or is it a lead roll? Those are the kinds of questions you can ask. And when you get to know the microphones, the different responses of these microphones will help you achieve those goals just by getting familiar with what you've got.
Yeah, you can really start to shape things in the mix before even recording, or before even you get to that mix point, during the recording process, how you want them to sit. And that's what we're going to show you now. I'm going to bring in, we've got Adam and Anthony from Iron Point joining us today. So we're going to do some acoustics. We're going to do a couple different ones to show you how they react on a different, one of our acoustics is darker, one is brighter, so you'll get to hear that. We're going to do a little bit of Cajon, show you how these mics articulate well, how they get the low end, and then we're going to do some vocals, and we're going to record a short little acoustic song, and we're going to build all this stuff up so you can hear it. And we're going to start with you. So you ready to do this thing?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm going to go back in the control room, turn you on, and then we're going to hear. All right. You go back. Put my headphones on so I can hear what's going on. Go to the control room real quick. Okay, so just to real quick reiterate something Matt said and translate it into like how my mind works is I look at the 87 as like the natural kind of open sound. I look at the 47 as something that's going to help pull something forward. We have two different guitars out here. We have this Fender that's quite dark, well, at least compared to the other one. And then we have a brighter acoustic. And we're going to get to hear how these sound. Play a little bit for me, Adam. So here is the 47. Yeah, go ahead and play. Well, this is a dark guitar. So let's do this. We got that thing we were working on earlier. I'm gonna run the click out to you and let's track that, just the short demo version.
Cool.
And then we'll be able to compare these a little bit better. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Sehr gut. Okay, so here's how, for me, just so you can hear the difference, well, start with the 87. This is a dark guitar. So let's say maybe you're at home and all you're doing is acoustic stuff and you have a particular sound on the guitar. Let's just pretend for a second it's a guitar like this that's dark and you're like, man, I want to get some more life out of this guitar, but EQ is making it sound brittle or not quite natural. That's where a mic like the 47 comes in, and here's what that sounds like. Because compared to the 87, and you can hear that bump Matt was talking about in that like 4 to 5K that helps that guitar come forward a little bit. And that is quite a dark guitar. I mean, this is all subjective. You might like it being dark and natural. You know, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but I know Ernesto and I do this quite a bit. He's sitting behind me at the studio where it's like, hey, this guitar, it's not quite bright enough. Pull the mini K on it. We can pull it forward without having to do EQ. That doesn't mean you can't go do EQ and things later, but the more you can pick up natural originally of the sound you want from the instrument, then whatever you're doing later, sweeten it, it makes it a little bit easier. Now let's do the opposite. Pick up is it the Taylor?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're gonna hear a very different thing. All right, let's just track our demo again. Nicely done. All right, so I let you hear the 47 first, but let's hear, I'm gonna go to the 87 on this because this guitar is brighter, so here's the 87. So the 87 is a little bit smoother. On this guitar, I like both. I go either way, you know. You might like it being more forward, you might like it a little bit smoother, but the cool thing with both of these is it gives you either option, also without breaking the bank. And I see some questions coming in on our YouTube, and I know Matt's got on the Roswell YouTube page too. You guys, we're gonna go through a few things. I should have mentioned this up front and get through a couple things, and then we're gonna have a Q&A section where we're gonna go back and try to answer some of these questions just so we can kind of keep things moving a little bit. So we're gonna track a short version of this, of one of the Iron Point songs for this, and we're gonna start with the acoustic. So you ready to lay down? We're gonna do a verse and a chorus, right?
Yep.
Let me drop in a marker so I remember where we at. Song. All right, you ready?
Ready?
Well, you're on the Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. Excellent. I was actually flipping back between those mics, especially when you hit the chorus section. I like how, I think both mics on this sound good, but if I were tracking, if say we were doing a production of this, what I would do, I would actually use I like the 87 on the verse. It's nice and smooth and open, but I like when I would flip to the 47, I hope you guys could hear when I was flipping back and forth. I like how it got a little jangly and a little brighter on the chorus, which was kind of cool. Again, this is tones. It's just no different than if you would buy different compressors, different EQs, and use them on different things. We're looking at it as the mics is our first EQ. And that was actually cool. Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So hey, Matt, you still there, buddy?
Right on. Yeah, still here.
Excellent. What do you think?
Sounds great, man.
If you see me looking over here, it's because Matt's on a screen to my left. So that's why I'm looking over there. So now,
yeah, when I'm looking down in the corner, Charlie's down in my corner as well. So
I know I need to get like a screen right in front. So that's just, for me, the way I look at it is pretty much what I just said. And I know I got to work with you guys a little bit on the last one, at least during some of the recording process. And I know you spent 3 days, we were talking about this beforehand, tracking all this different stuff. And I know the 47 and 87 both got used a lot on your guitars. Mm-hmm. And I know Marshall was picking and choosing and even swapping depending on the guitar part they were trying to do. And it really helped add some just character to the whole mix as it went through before even getting to the mix. And I remember when you guys left here, the sounds were already fantastic.
There was very little mixing at the end of all that. Like,
and you recorded a lot of guitars.
a lot of guitars. Yeah.
And some of them were mini K, just 87s. Yeah. I remember because I think both you guys fell in love with that and you just kept moving it around. Yeah. So for me on this, hearing the acoustic, when we're going to put a music video together of this at the end, we may actually combine these mics a little bit depending on the part because it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get in. We're going to do one more section and then we're going to get some questions. Actually, I've got to go out there and set something up. Matt, I know I see a couple questions here. Do you see any questions you might want to take while I just set this next thing up?
why don't you feed me one from your channel, and I'll try to jump over there in the meantime, but I've been looking at the Roswell page.
Okay.
So if you...
I see one of them is asking, so can you justify buying a Mini K87 too? And I'm assuming that's because an 87 and a 47. Which is, I think, what we kind of just covered, really. They're different colors completely.
Yeah, so if you missed the bit at the beginning, I mean, the way I would answer that is that these two mics sound different and they excel at different things. And of course, you can have personal opinions about which one you prefer on any given source. But we do make them both not to compete with each other, but to complement each other in the pursuit of this goal of sonic diversity. And I could mention also that we sell one of each in a case. We call it the mixed pair. So basically you get one K47, one K87. They sound totally different. 2 shock mounts, 1 case, and that's listed on the website at a sort of bundle price. So if you have the budget for 2 mics and you want those 2 different sounds, that's a good way to go.
And I use them quite often. I'll change out even drum overheads. The next thing we're going to do is really going to showcase, I think, the 2 really strong points of each of these microphones, which is the Cajon, because now we've got to get into some bottom end. And let me just make sure I've got this on pass. Okay. All right, Anthony, you ready to start doing some stuff? Yeah. Okay. So here's something. We're going to do the Cajon one way. And we have the Mini K87 in the back. Do we have that? Can you just go through that setup? Ernesto's going to flip through just there. We go. So we have an 87 in the back at the port and a 47 in the front. And for me, here's why. The 87 has a fantastic low end. It's really nice. It's round and it's very full. The 47, to me, almost acts like a small diaphragm condenser in the way that it handles transients very well, and has fast transient response, which is perfect for the front of the Cajon. That's the same reason if I'm micing a cello, I put a Mini K87 up there and it's fantastic because the low end on it's really nice. So since we're talking about low end, play me something and give me a lot of low from that thing. This is just the back mic. Here's the 47 in front. Both. Cool, thank you, sir. So that 87, I have it about 5 inches away from the port on the side, kind of facing in, so I'm not just throwing air straight into the microphone. But the low end on that mic, it's very natural sounding, and it's round, which is something I like about it. That doesn't mean you couldn't switch these mics around, but for me, on this particular instrument, I think the way the 47 shapes the transient on the front and the way the 87 picks up the low end is just the right combination of those mics. So let's record this so we can hear this in context, because context is everything, man. Everything. So Anthony, I've given you, let's see, I'm gonna switch through. I'm gonna start the verse, I'm gonna do the 80s, I'll switch through the microphones. I got 2 bars for you, okay? Here we go. Nice. This is where it starts to get a little interesting too, because I start to hear the acoustic mics differently.
Oh, interesting.
You know?
Yeah.
So here, let me play back a little bit of this. So I'm gonna start with the 87 on the acoustic. I'm gonna leave both the 47 and the 87. First off, too, no compression or EQ on any of this stuff, guys. This stuff is completely flat. Just the mics and the 2 guys out there playing, and that's it. So that we're not coloring anything in any other way whatsoever. But if I play this back. Now the acoustic with the 47. Yeah, it's interesting actually how you can hear it change. So it's paintbrushes, man. It's paintbrushes. That's all. Nice. Matt, you there?
Yes, sir.
I'm turning back around to see where Matt's at. Looking over my shoulder, making sure things are going good. So, and just to reiterate, I think a lot of this is no matter what the instrument is, the idea is to have either one of 2 things. You have a simple setup at home and you want a couple options, or you're maybe it's a facility like myself where you're recording a lot of different things, or you have a lot of different artists and bands in, and you have to try to get the sounds that they need. It's not always the sounds that I think are right, I mean, Anthony and I are going to argue a little bit when we do the vocals on who likes what mic better. But the cool thing with both of these, the MK series the Mini K series, is that it's an affordable way to get 2 very cool colors that can help you shape the sounds you need. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And then the sounds you want too, obviously. And for me, it's, I'm always changing things up. It's same every time I've worked with these guys on their stuff, we pull out about every piece of gear in the studio gets used at some point just to, help paint that picture. And on the way we're just using this right now on the Cajon is a way I would even treat this maybe on a drum set, which that's going to be next week. We're going to do some real drums with these mics. But knowing how those mics function and what they do really well helps me move them around. And sometimes maybe we don't want the bottom end on the Cajon like that. We may flip the mics around. That's when you get creative.
Right on, man.
Matt. Cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
So let's see if we've got any questions coming from everybody, because the next thing we're going to get into is some vocal stuff, and I've got to go move a couple things around. Oh, I see, Matt. Okay, you already answered a couple things there.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with the chat.
Soundcast has the K47 and loves it. Yeah. So listen, right now, guys, I've got to go reframe for some vocals. So if you've got some questions, Matt, you have anything that you'd like to add while I go just move a camera?
I do. Yeah,
Excellent.
Thanks, man. You go for it. So two things. So Dan had just asked a question about, because Charlie had commented on the low frequency of the K87, and how does that compare to the KD mic? So we're not using the mini K47 KD in this episode. We will look at that in a future one, I guess next week when we do drums. For those who don't know what that is, the mini K47 KD started as a sort of mod of the mini K47 and has evolved into, it's got its own circuit now, and we did a small production run out of them, so we're not having to hand modify every one anymore. It's actually an official product now. And I would say in terms of the low frequency response, it's going to be similar across the two mics, but the mini K47 KD adds that 4K presence bump. So if you look at kick drum mics, dedicated kick drum mics, most of which are dynamics, of course, then what you'll often see is a big bottom end, which is extended by proximity, of course. And then you've got a huge bump, sometimes significant, like 8 or 10 or 12 decibels, right around 4 or 5 kilohertz. And the point of that higher frequency bump is to bring out the attack of the beater, because a kick drum is kind of two sounds in one in a lot of genres of music. You want that big woofy bottom end, but you also want the impact, the click that gives it definition. And so purpose-built kick drum mics tend to have an EQ curve that looks like that, giant on the bottom, and then another giant thing around 4 or 5K. And so the mini K47 KD has that in there. It's not as extreme as some dynamic kick drum mics would be. It's got a more natural frequency curve. So I think in terms of low frequency, the thing about audio is that it's frequency response perception is somewhat relative. And so if you were to take away that 4K bump out of the 47, you would think, oh, these low frequencies are more similar. But you put it in there and maybe you don't notice the lows so much. They're in there, but you're also hearing it be balanced by the top end. So I think that's what's going on with that. The other thing I wanted to say, take advantage of this opportunity, is to announce a new custom shop that we're launching soon. And so, the idea is that we build mics all the time. We're designing and building microphones all the time between Roswell and the mic parts line that I have. So it's kind of all mics all the time here. And we thought we should just embrace that and show that to everybody and start to announce some of the things that we can do. So we're without a lot of fanfare, we're just going to introduce a couple of cosmetic changes with more to come. And so the first thing I want to show off is this new custom finish for the Mini K series. So this is a custom blue speckle powder coat finish with a brass badge. The logo there on there is a brass badge that we're making available for the K47, the K87, and the KD. So that's an option that we can provide. And then the other thing we're doing is we've come up with custom grills for the Delphos 2 and the Colaris. So we actually have two colors of these, and one is the what you're looking at now is a Colaris with what we call the black chrome grill, and then we also have a satin nickel plate, and both of these are a different shape than the grill that's usually on these mics. So these are some of the custom shop options that we'll be introducing right away, and if you're interested in those, get in touch or subscribe to the mailing list, and I'll be doing an announcement of those there very shortly. So some folks mentioned Warren Hewitt, Produced Like a Pro. Yeah, he's a good guy. He is a fan of Roswell. I've been fortunate enough to guest on his channel a couple of times. For those of you who are members of his recording academy, I did a master class in microphones within the last year. So if you go into the Produce Like a Pro Recording Academy, there's a link to all of his guest speakers, and there's a dedicated 45-minute or maybe hour-long class that I did all about microphones. And it goes into this idea of sonic diversity. It drills into different capsule types, different circuits, and the relative contributions of each in terms of what the microphone sounds like. So it gets into the frequency responses of capsules and the saturation and distortion effects of transformers and tubes and different kinds of circuit tunings. So yeah, Warren's a great guy, and I really appreciate what he does for us, actually. So there's a couple of questions about what studio we're looking at. So I'm in my home studio, which is in Northern California. The rest of the broadcast is coming from Charlie Waymeyer, his studio in Panorama City, which is near Los Angeles. So Charlie's studio is called Ultimate Studios, Inc. And he and Ernesto, who's not on camera, but is very much active behind the scenes, running all the cameras, and most of the stuff that you can't actually see happening is Ernesto doing behind the scenes. So that's Ultimate Studios in LA. And Charlie and Ernesto have focused a lot on mastering their live streaming game. And so they've been doing a series of concerts. I think they're into their second series of 4 concerts. This series is a sort of piano bar deal. So tune into Ultimate Studios channel on YouTube to check those out. It's a good show.
I can tell you this setup right here that we're doing now is by far the most complicated we've ever done. With how many places we are piping the feed and audio right now, you know, it was this has been a bit harder than the concerts.
Right on. Well, I appreciate it.
But I love the mics. They're fantastic. You know, I use them on almost every single recording I'm doing. There's some combination of all of them because they work and they allow me to record the sounds that I need to record. And really, at the end of the day, it's that simple.
That's awesome. And that's music to my ears as a mic designer. I mean, there's nothing I love more than hearing what people can make with these mics. So that's awesome.
Okay, Anthony, talk to me.
Yes, hey, hi.
It's going to take a second. We got to get a sound up here.
So we're setting up for vocals. And like I said in the chat, for anyone who didn't see it, we are recording a full song through this series. And at the end of this series, we will have done acoustic guitar, percussion, vocals, drums, bass, electric, I think some piano, if I didn't already mention that. What we're not doing is making everyone on the stream sit through the performance of the song, 7 or 8 times. Every instrument times 2 different mics. What we wanted to do is have the band play enough that you can hear what the mics sound like. And then after the live stream, we will track the full song. And at the end of this series, we'll release the mixes and the stems, and people can download, all the tracks and actually make their own mix and all that sort of stuff as well.
We're just trying to get a level here with Anthony.
Hey, check, yay. Yeah.
We're coming in.
Hey. Check.
Let me make sure I got things coming in the right place. It's always the fun part of the session. Did I plug it into the right place? So let me get 80.
Yeah, everything worked in rehearsal. It's just the nature of the beast.
It always works in rehearsal. And then it doesn't.
So just to fill the gap, I started doing a live stream, DIY live stream recently. And so, because Charlie had built one of the mic parts kits on a live stream, and he had me guest just to sort of talk while he was busy soldering. And at the time I was thinking, man, I wouldn't want to do that. It's, I build mics all the time, but having to host a show at the same time is another layer of complexity that didn't sound inviting. So I was happy to talk while he was doing the hard work of building the mic. And then I got the stupid idea to try to do it all myself. So a couple of weeks ago I did this, and it was my first live stream. I'm surrounded by cameras. I've got a digital microscope so people can focus in on the circuit board. And the irony of that is that everyone on the stream could see perfectly well what I was doing, and I couldn't see it at all. So I'm practically soldering blind, which is a wrinkle of my setup that I've since addressed. But it was kind of stressful, get all the stuff set up. and then I go live and the stream dies. So there's no audio. I can't fix it. The YouTube end stream button is gone because the stream has crashed. So, and I can't start a new stream because YouTube still thinks the stream is running. And so I had to delete the stream. So everyone who had been queued up and waiting, we had a great turnout. I mean, for a DIY live mic build, I think we had for certainly more than 45, maybe twice that number of people. I don't remember what it was before the thing crashed. I know 45 showed up after, but I had to delete the first stream, which means everyone who was watching, the screen goes blank and says, you know, YouTube error. So fortunately, a bunch of them went to the channel page and found the new stream. But another case of everything worked great in rehearsal. And then when we went to go live, it all sort of fell apart. So bear with us, and I'm sure they'll get audio happening here real soon. Yeah, so so this is a multi-part series, this virtual showroom idea, because you know, I think live streams and house guests share some characteristics, right? They fun for a bit, can't go on forever. So tonight we wanted to focus and really try to keep these to an hour each. And so tonight the limits were 2 mics, vocals, guitar, and a little bit of percussion. That was just the idea that we had for tonight's episode.
There we are.
And next episode, we'll be adding other instruments, and we've got at least 3 planned total. And I'm guessing we're going to do 5 or 6 in order to accommodate all the mics. We'll definitely be bringing out the Delphos 2 and the Colaris as we bring in all these other instruments.
Check, check, yeah. Hello.
Charlie, how you guys doing in there? Charlie, we don't have your audio. Don't know if you know that.
My back? Yep. There we are.
Back.
There's this thing called an on-off button. You shouldn't turn it off when you're trying to talk.
Well, it's helpful if you don't have 1,000 of those in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think we got Anthony, talk to me.
Hello. Hello, hello, everyone.
Okay, so
Hello, check, yeah. Hey, yeah.
which one are you in front of right now?
The K87.
87, okay. And we are here. Talk to me.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Sounds lovely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Salazar.
Hi.
So go in front of the 47 real quick.
Hey, hey. Check, check.
Oh, man.
Hello.
You can even hear it just with you talking.
It's so nuts.
It's such a different
It's great.
sound.
It's really, really
Holy
fantastic.
smokes. Okay, so let's just record like a first part of the verse for a second.
Cool.
Or actually, yeah, because we have to do, we can't do what we did with the acoustic, so you can be right in front of it. So
Right
let's
on.
do,
Right on.
and then we'll do the full thing afterwards. All right, I may have to adjust a little bit of levels here, so.
Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah?
I'm not compressing or anything.
Cool.
We're just doing this El Naturel, as they say in the business.
As they say.
Do they say that? I don't
do
think
now.
they say that. They do now. I'm going to start something here. Okay, so you're on the 87, correct?
Yes, the K87.
There we go. Okay, let's do that. Just do the pass. We'll do both. These two mics we're going to do a full because I know the chorus and the verse are a little bit different, and then we'll go back and listen to a little comparison where I can flip back and forth between
All right,
them.
so a whole verse and chorus.
Yeah.
Awesome, can do.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
What do you want? What do you need? It all comes back to you. Do you see who we really are? All the same to you. So string me along. I'm untied, but I can't face you. You're the spark, you're the light. The moon eclipsed you. 'Cause I've grown so tired of waiting
And I'm not giving the singer any reverb either.
None. No reverb. I also realized that we start that, and I had no idea, like, I had no key lead in. So I'm like, I just hope the first note I hit's on key.
That's the hard part about doing little truncated versions of things. Woo. Okay, so that's our mini K87.
Indeed.
Now we're gonna do, I'm gonna mute that out. We're gonna move over to the 47.
Secretly my favorite, but you don't know that.
Here, give me just a quick sound check there, buddy.
Hey, hey, hello. Hello, K47, check.
Man, we can get a little bit more juice there.
Hey, hey.
Okay, cool.
Brilliant.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have done a pickup.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey man, this is rock and roll, baby.
It's rock and roll, man. You're supposed to be flat, sharp, and all over.
Exactly. All my favorite bands did that, so you're now one of my favorite bands.
Cool.
All right, you ready to do this thing?
All right.
Here we go. This is the mini K47 on the vocal.
What do you want? What do you need? It all comes back to you. Do you see who we really are? All the same to you. So string me along. I'm untied, but I can't face you. You're the spark. You're the light. The moon eclipsed you. 'Cause I've grown so tired of waiting around. We'll expire without a sound. 'Cause I've grown so tired of waiting around. We'll expire without a sound. La 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 la.
I was just told by Guac on the studio feed that I'm a little loud.
Whoops.
Not a shocker. I turned myself down, guys. I hope my volume's a little bit better. Not the first person who's told me I'm a little loud.
We're gonna make a specially designed limiter for you.
Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, so now Anthony, you as a singer, and this is something I think that's important tracking. You feel a difference when you're tracking with either of those in the headphones.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is the mics that I use, like I usually stick to SM7Bs and whatnot. Like the 87 oddly feels very similar to that in the sense of it, like just coming back to me feels like my voice.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I like the 47 is because even if I was to go and mix myself, like it already feels like that. It already feels like nice and sharp and clear. And so that's why it stuck out to me earlier when we were doing the demos, because I was like, oh wow, like this like jumped out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know both of us right away. I was like, oh, I like how the 87 sounds in your voice. He goes, really? I like how the 47 sounds on it. But it is very different. So I'm just going to do a little section here. And I'm going to start out, we'll go back and start with the 87 and I'm going to flip back and forth a little bit between the 87 and 47. We'll see how it sounds. You can take a breather there, brother.
All right.
Bring me along, I'm untied, but I can't face you. You're the spark, you're the light, the moon eclipsed you.
47.
Bring me along, I'm untied, but I can't face you. You're the spark, you're the light, the moon eclipsed you. 'Cause I've grown so tired of waiting around.
47.
We'll expire without a sound. 'Cause
I still like the 87. I don't know why. It just feels like, I could do something to it. But I hear what you're saying, though, with he's behind me now. That's why I'm looking behind me. I hear what you're saying with how the 47 kind of comes out. And that's the cool thing, too, how subjective this is, that stylistically making that choice with those two mics, you could easily set your mixes up, or your recordings up to already kind of be pre-mixed of where you want things to sit. And right now we've been monitoring, here, let's hear that again. We'll leave your favorite 47 up. I'm gonna put the 47 on the Taylor up.
bring me along.
'cause I've
All
grown
87s.
so tired of waiting around. Will expire.
Oops, I didn't get him. There we go. Here's both 47s, 47 acoustic, 47 vocal.
Bring me along, I'm untied, but I can't face you. You're the spark, you're the light, the moon eclipsed you.
So my takeaway after hearing flipping back and forth, if this could pin on your style a little bit too, what you like. If you're into a more natural kind of even tone, the 87 out of the box, you don't do anything to it, it's there. It just feels round, nice and full. If you like something a bit sharper or to cut more, like Sir Anthony back here does, the 47 is going to give you that kind of right away, and then you can always augment later, but you kind of get that naturally. Or you could pick the two mics like I would on this, what I said with Adam earlier, and Anthony. I would probably go 87 on the verses for the acoustic, 47 on the choruses, because I liked how the 47 made it more, the part for the chorus a bit more jangly, and I like how the verse felt a little bit more natural, which was kind of cool to me. I thought anyway. You guys can't hear anything in here right now, can you? It's like we're all on headphones except them. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to end up tracking, when we're done here, a whole version of this, so we have an acoustic song to show you with all of these microphones. And next, on our next one, Matt, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Yeah, you want to go side by side? This is a collective effort to make all this stuff work. So that is, do you have anything you want to add to any of that? Do we have any other questions we want to get to? Let me look at our YouTube and see if...
Yeah, I think I've been keeping up with the questions pretty well, but you know, I think the takeaway, at least for me, is that these mics really do sound different and they bring out different things, and that's awesome. That's, you know, what they were designed to do. It's to put a tool in your toolbox.
Yeah. Soundcast Studio, I see that you're asking about gain. I can't really give you, let's see, on the vocal. By the way, just so everyone knows, the Trident, I have half the board with transformers, half without. We are using the transformerless half of the board. So we're trying to be as transparent with the mics as possible, so you're not hearing extra color from this half that has the Lundau input transformers. So you're just really hearing the microphones. Gain-wise, I'm only probably, I was pretty even on them, although the 47's maybe a little bit less, it's a little hotter. But I'm probably only about plus 40, plus 45. Right in there. The numbers aren't exact here. There's only a bottom number and a top number, but that's kind of my estimate given where the input gain is at the moment. I haven't had a problem with any of these mics on any source. The Mini K87 is one of my favorite drum overheads, which we're going to get to next week for a lot of reasons that we'll get to next week. The 87s also do something on drums that I like, but I've never had any issues whatsoever with being able to put these on a louder source, or even recording a softer source like a nylon string guitar or something where I have to really push the gain. They're very clean microphones, both of them, so I'm not getting any extra noise or anything that way. Matter of fact, we used, like I said earlier, the Chroma Quartet. The Mini K87 was the cello mic, and
Sounded
I was
great.
playing loud, and it was so fantastic at that.
Yeah, it sounded really great.
And yesterday on the first Piano Bar concert series, Gabby, that was our main vocal mic, was the 87, because with her voice, it just, the mid-range was nice and smooth. And I chose
she has
that
a great voice too.
specifically for it. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's the real
And,
deal.
As far as sensitivity goes, I'll throw a lot of comments about that because that's something that we have a lot of control over. And when I designed the Mini K mics, the target customer definitely spans this drum overheads to vocals kind of range. And so I had to set the sensitivity so we could accommodate all of that. But if a customer had a request and said, look, this is a straight up vocal mic, we can build to that spec. And what that would mean in a sense, or in a very specific sense, is that we would optimize the circuit for very high sensitivity and very high output at the cost of some headroom. because everything in audio design is a trade-off. So if you're okay that the mic is not going to be happy on drum overheads, then we can absolutely build a mic that is optimized for quieter sources like voiceover or just vocals, just acoustic guitar, hammered dulcimer, those kinds of things. And that's one of the options we want to offer in this custom shop that I mentioned, is, you know, being able to sort of specifically build mics for people.
Matt, you there?
Yeah, still here. Did you lose me?
Okay. Yeah, no, sorry, my battery's about to die and I had to get up and I muted both of us accidentally. My bad.
No worries.
So many moving parts. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so there was one final question from L. Scott. I think you're a voiceover guy, right? Did you say that? So so we don't have pricing yet, but subscribe to the newsletter on, and I'll, when we announce the custom shop, then we can address this question of what like the voiceover build of one of these mics would cost. So we're still working out the details on that. I mean, for me, it's exciting for me to be able to custom make mics for people, because I think that's, it's fun. I mean, it's one of the ways I get joy out of this business is seeing what people do with them. And so being able to produce a sort of hands-on high touch product is really meaningful to me. And so, so I'm looking forward to this for sure.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for today. What do you say?
I think we're good. Charlie and Ernesto, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thanks
bet.
to the band and everyone who joined. Thank you for coming out with us for an hour, and please tune in. It's going to be next Thursday at the same time.
We're going to use this acoustic and vocal track as just a guide, and we're going to go through several drum mic setups with this, with Anthony, because if you guys don't know, he's out there playing cajon, he's singing, he plays guitar, he plays bass, you play didgeridoo, and he's a fantastic drummer. So we're gonna finish off this little acoustic tune. We're actually gonna have a full acoustic version of this, and then we're gonna build an electric version where Adam's gonna come back on December 3rd, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's December 3rd. And we're gonna record electric bass and electric guitars over this track as well. So we're gonna cover quite a few instruments with these two mics in this series. It should be pretty freaking cool. So be sure to put that on your calendar and come back and see us.
Right on.
So, all right, everybody. Thanks. Matt, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And
This has been great.
We'll see y'all next Thursday. Cheers.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Go.
Hey, man.
Sorry, I'm shutting everything down to make sure we don't have any audio going on again.
Yeah, I just ended my stream and shut my mic.